Hello everyone, welcome back. We're getting really close to reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It truly helps motivate us to keep creating content like this. Now, let's get into the story. I discovered my wife was being unfaithful, but when I started packing my things to leave, she said something I will never forget. The quiet in our bedroom felt suffocating, heavier than any fight we had ever gone through. It was as if the walls themselves were closing in while I stood there, staring at the open suitcase resting on the bed. Just an hour earlier, I had come home ahead of schedule, hoping to surprise Emily for our anniversary. Instead, I was the one caught off guard. She was in our bed, with a man I had trusted like a brother since high school. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't lash out, and I definitely didn't stick around to hear the weak excuses already tumbling out of her mouth. I simply turned toward the closet and began pulling out my clothes. Each piece of fabric felt rough against my trembling hands, like sandpaper scraping across my skin. Emily stood near the doorway, clutching a bedsheet around herself. Her expression was a mess, part guilt, part irritation, like she was more upset about being caught than what she had actually done. "Liam, please, it was just a mistake. It didn't mean anything," she said, but there was no real remorse. In her voice, it sounded hollow, more like inconvenience than regret. I said nothing. Instead, I placed my laptop and passport into the side compartment of my bag. The sound of the zipper closing echoed sharply in the room, like the final beat of a dying heart. The betrayal wasn't just about what I had seen. It was the realization that the past 5 years of my life had been built on nothing but lies. I had worked exhausting double shifts to fund her master's degree. I had stood by her through every breakdown, every career setback. And this was what she chose to give me on our anniversary. I sealed the suitcase and finally turned to face her. My expression was empty, just like the future I suddenly found myself staring into. "I'm leaving, Emily. My lawyer will contact you regarding the house and everything else," I said calmly, my tone steady and stripped of emotion. No drama, no shouting, nothing she could react to. I reached for my bag and headed toward the door, ready to walk out and never return. But before I could leave, her entire attitude changed. The tears disappeared instantly. Her eyes hardened, turning sharp and cold. She moved quickly, stepping in front of me and blocking my way. "You really think you can just walk out on me?" she yelled, her voice rising so high it seemed to rattle the windows. "You think you're the victim here. You're nothing without me, Liam. I only did it because you're boring, predictable, a complete failure who can't even keep his own wife interested." She stepped closer until her face was inches from mine. Then she said the words that would stay with me forever. "I'm pregnant, Liam, and it's not yours, it's his, and you're going to pay for every single thing that child needs because your name is still on that marriage certificate." It felt like I had been punched in the gut. The air left my lungs as I stood frozen in the hallway. But as the shock began to fade, something else replaced it. A cold, precise clarity. I looked at her now, wearing a smug, victorious expression, convinced she had just trapped me for the next 18 years. She believed her confession had chained me to her. What she didn't realize was that I knew something she didn't. I was the one who handled all of our insurance and medical records. "Is that right, Emily?" I said quietly, my voice dropping so low it unsettled her more than yelling ever could. I didn't wait for her reply. I walked past her, picked up my keys, and left for the next 2 hours. I sat in my office going through files Emily didn't even know existed. Eventually, I found what I was looking for. A routine medical report from 3 months earlier, something I had done for a life insurance policy. I stared at the document on my screen. The answer was right there. In bold, a condition from my childhood had left me completely sterile. I wasn't the failure she claimed I was. I was a man carrying a quiet truth, one I had been planning to share with her when the time felt right. I had even considered discussing adoption with her, but that moment would never come now. I didn't call her. I didn't go back. Instead, I sent everything to my lawyer, the medical report, along with time-stamped footage from our front door security camera clearly showing my so-called best friend entering the house while I was at work. Emily believed the law would force me to take responsibility for her betrayal. She was about to find out how wrong she was. That night, I checked into a hotel, ordered a drink, and watched as message after message from her flooded my phone. Desperate, panic, relentless. A week later, things finally started turning in my favor. My lawyer filed for an annulment on the grounds of fraud. My medical records proved that the child could never be mine, allowing us to bypass a long and messy divorce. Emily's life began to collapse. The man she chose over me disappeared. The moment he learned about the pregnancy, she was left alone without support and with her reputation crumbling as the truth spread through our social circle. As for me, I sat in my new apartment, breathing in clean air untouched by her presence, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. What she meant as destruction had become my freedom. I used my share from selling the house to finally pursue the dream I had put aside for her, a travel photography business. For the first time in a long while, my life truly belonged to me. I wasn't anyone's backup plan. I wasn't a failure. I was someone who had endured the storm and emerged stronger. The silence around me no longer felt suffocating. Now, it was filled with opportunity. If you discovered your entire life was built on lies, would you stay to uncover the truth or walk away to reclaim your freedom? And before you go, almost 90% of viewers still haven't subscribed. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that button. Also, don't miss our next video featuring a shocking story where a husband uncovers the truth about his unfaithful partner.